power.
Welcome in to the latest episode of that SEC podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. I go by SEC Mike on Twitter. And that is, of course, cousin Shane, the big Tennessee Homer. What's up, brother?
Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Oh, man, doing great. Another wrapping up of a week of shows here, Shane. This is the final weekend, Shane, where there's going to be no college football on.
Yeah.
So we got to celebrate. I was telling you off air, I feel ashamed to even admit this publicly, Shane, but I was planning on opening a beer to celebrate with you, but I don't have any at the house here.
Yeah, see what? There's a downside of moving away from White Pine, Tennessee, Mike. You don't have cousin Shane next door with a fridge full of beer. So
no, I failed us all. I do apologize.
But that is awesome though. The last weekend without college football. Think about that, Mike. We've been waiting for this, it feels like, for 10 years. It's finally here. And I don't care who you put on there. I'll watch Vandy play 3 times against each other in a scrimmage as long as it's college football, and I'm pumped up and ready for it.
Yeah, so we're going to do another mailbag show. We got some terrific mailbag questions to get to. But as always, if anybody wants to chime in with a question of their own, throw us a donation, and we will happily answer your question. But Shane, Robert says, Shane, are you waiting for Cracker Barrel to commit?
Man, I'm ready. I'm ready. I don't know. I've been tweeting at them. I've been sending them emails. They just don't respond. So hopefully one of these days, somebody important that works at Cracker Barrel will catch this and realize what an opportunity they're missing here. Because I'd be promoting the shit. Actually, I already am. I'm doing it for free. Maybe that's why they're like, why are we going to pay him? He does it anyway.
But all right, Shane, so are you ready to dive into this mailbag?
Heck yeah, brother. Let's do it.
All right, great question right off the bat from cousin Trey Tucker. He's a longtime listener.
Oh, yeah.
How about this one, Shane? You'll like it. And here's the deal, just so everybody knows. I come prepared. Shane likes them thrown at him.
Yeah.
So he's not had a lot of time to think about some of these. So
none of them. I have zero. Flying blind here, man.
So again, take that into consideration. But here's the question from cousin Trey: which SEC team with a coordinator change will have the most success? And he's asking for offense and defense. So again, I've had time. Would you like to hear mine while you sit there and formulate your opinion on this one?
No, I'm going to jump right into this, Mike, because it may not be significant, but I think Bobby Petrino in Arkansas is just a home run damn hire. I feel like he was kind of handicapped a little bit down there in College Station. Up here in Arkansas, by God, it's his. And you've heard that from Sam. He's not going to be intervening. This is his baby. He went out and got his quarterback. They got their wide receivers. I'm excited to see what they're going to do on that side of the football. So if I'm talking about a huge difference, I'm going with Arkansas. And one that you're probably not going to mention, but I think Baker down there in LSU was a home run hire as well. This is a defense that I feel like, as far as talent, they had it last year. It was just in the wrong place. And what has he been preaching all offseason here is getting these boys lined up and in the right spot. And I feel like if they do that, LSU may not on paper look night and day difference as far as talent and attributes, but I think they'll look a lot different on the football field because they'll be in the right position.
Yeah, well, I think you nailed it, Shane. So that is right where I went with defensive coordinator, LSU. I think that's an upgrade, and why a lot of people are, not the main reason, but one of the reasons some people wonder how good Missouri is going to be on defense, because, hell, they lost their defense coordinator, Blake Baker, to LSU. So I had to throw that in there. But I don't know, Trey asked coordinators.
Yeah.
So I didn't think it was right to count a head coach.
Yeah.
But if we could, I went Texas A&M Mike Elko, massive upgrade over DJ Durkin. So I think A&M, we got an A&M defense question coming up, so I don't want to spoil that. But I think that could be the best answer. Now, offense, I considered Bobby Petrino like you did.
Yeah.
But I'm actually going to his former stop, Texas A&M, and it's not because of Bobby Petrino. It's because of old damn Jimbo put the handcuffs on him and putting the handcuffs on Texas A&M's program for the last 5 years. Give me Texas A&M offensive coordinator Colin Klein. I've been saying it all off season, Shane. We're going from a 2014 offense, which is what Jimbo liked to run, to a 2024 offense, which is what Colin Klein likes to run. He's with the new age of football. We're gonna run the ball, but still spread it out. I love that playbook in the new video game. That's the one I use. Of course, you shut it down every week, so maybe I'm hurting my case here. But I love what Colin Klein potentially could bring to Texas A&M's offense. I think that's going to be the biggest offensive coordinator hire. But same deal. I'm not counting head coaches.
Yeah.
Because Cousin Trey asked us specifically coordinators. But if we could count head coaches, I'm saying Kalen DeBoer coming in, replacing Tommy Reese. I think that is a massive, massive, massive upgrade in itself. So those are my answers there.
He made Saban retire. He's like, the hell with this. I can't do it anymore. Yeah. Hey, I know it's a little bit off subject here, but what about Levy? I mean, you got to remember, we're talking about massive changes here.
Right.
Golly, how bad was it to watch last year? I mean, it was you'd almost have to pay me to finish a Mississippi State game. I think it's different this year. I think it's going to be exciting. There'll be mistakes made because he ain't got his dudes in there, but I think it'll be night and day from last year.
Yeah, no, that's a good one, Shane. I just don't know. I mean, I'm tired of saying the same thing, but I just don't know how good Mississippi State's going to be, quite frankly.
Liquid Flame's always coming with that heat, ain't he?
Yeah, he says Gators hired a defensive coordinator for their defensive coordinator, which is, in reality, that's exactly what they did.
That may be the best hire of them all,
And shout out to Cousin Dakota here.
Oh, thanks, cuz.
$10. Okay, MIZ before I have to go. So appreciate you. No questions
Absolutely.
there, but we do appreciate the donation. And Cousin Trey, he likes to double up on here, Shane. So he's got one more second tier here. Does Cousin Shane feel disrespected if he gets a 1 or 2 star waitress at Cracker Barrel?
No, I don't, because I feel like you got to learn somewhere, Mike. You know what I'm saying? And if you can support Cousin Shane, you're going to make it in this industry. So the one thing about it, and I'll admit, I was a terrible tipper growing up. I never understood it. I was one of those, if the Lord gets 10%, why would I give it to, kind of, that's just how I grew up. But my wife grew up in that kind of industry. And so I've become quite the tipper. So they all know when Cousin Shane's coming in there that they know what to do. They bring me a couple of drinks, not one drink. And I see that and I'm whispering back there like, hey, treat this guy right. He's going to tip well. So I think it pays off in the end.
Well, speaking of that, perfect segue to a question here.
Thanks, cuz.
From Uncle Malone, Roll Tide Roll. Can we get an over-under on Cousin Shane's Cracker Barrel bill?
Oh yeah. So remember, this last time it was 3 of us. So I have a 15-year-old, and of course me and my wife. So what do you think it is?
For 3 people, Cracker Barrel. I mean, it's a fine establishment.
Not counting tip. Not counting tip.
You're getting great prices. I'm gonna ballpark at around $35.
Shit. It's been a while since you went to eat with me, Mike. $53 was the last one. The problem is, too, that you run into is they got that little store up front. And when you got a teenage daughter, it seems like there's always 1 or 2 more things that we've got to add to the bill. But, before that came out, $53 is what we ended up spending.
Oh, wait, here's a follow-up question. So, the country store, whatever you want to call it, when you walk in, how often are you having to buy stuff in there?
Often.
That you have no desire to purchase, but it's a wife, it's a kid.
Oh.
They're saying, hey, how about this? How about that? I mean, if you go 10 times, how many times are you buying something in the country store?
9 times, Mike. and I'm going to tell you, this last time I got away with it because she was finishing up her food. So I went to the front real quick to pay. And so by the time she paid, I was already done. And she ain't got no money. She's broke as a joke, So I think the last thing that got me, we spent $6 for a little sticker tiebreaker. I don't even know where these are going, but
Yeah.
it's like $6. They get you. That's smart. I mean, they got a good business rolling there. But the one that got me the most was soap. We bought a $9.99 soap, and we brought it because it was orange and it matched the fall. My wife's already falling up the house, which I'm cool with. I like fall, even though it's still 95 degrees outside. But when I come in, it's like I use the soap, and I'm thinking, hey, this is going to be like pumpkin spice or something like that. It's just regular soap. And I'm like, we had that already. It just didn't have the orange bottle.
I didn't even know they sold regular soap up there.
Hey, they got it going on, brother. They got everything from Christmas trees to Halloween Christmas trees. It's amazing how much they can fit in that little store side.
Yeah. All right, Shane. Oh, we got the Flying Hawaiian here. He says, Shane blaming his daughter. Sure.
Oh, get off here. Ain't you supposed to be in Vegas? Get the hell out of here.
All right. How about, another great one, Shane, from cousin Blake here. Blake Tyndall. What new great rivalries do we think will develop in the conference now with Texas and Oklahoma coming into the league? So, again, his specific question, Shane, what great new rivalries? So I didn't count like Texas, Oklahoma, because again, that's historic. I personally didn't count Texas A&M, because even though they've not been playing, to me that's still been a rivalry.
It's not fair, yeah.
But I don't know. Are there any that stand out to you? There's one. I think there's one obvious one that involves Oklahoma that is emerging. But what do you have an answer there? Do you want me to go first or what?
Well, I think the one that's starting is the Mizzou, Oklahoma. That one really could be something, especially if they keep picking at each other. You know, that's what I like. It's not just team A, team B. It's like, hey, we're stealing your players. We're stealing your, next thing you know, we'll be stealing coaches. There'll be a lot of this going back and forth, similar to like a Mizzou, Arkansas. I feel like a little feisty, they hate each other to the core. So that one's one that I already see developing.
Yeah, Michael Riley. Shout out Michael Riley, big Florida fan. He says Georgia versus Athens PD is great rivalry. So
damn.
That's a good one. But for me, Oklahoma, Mizzou, that was number one on the board. How about this one, Shane? And I know I love to troll Texas, but if they're as good as people anticipate they will be,
yeah,
I think we could be getting a nice little rivalry here. Texas and Georgia. How about that? I mean, they battle it out for Arch Manning. Texas won. They're playing this year. Could have played last year in the college football playoff if Georgia made it. Could you see Georgia, Texas? Again, if Texas is, I'm not saying I'm necessarily in this camp, but if they're elite of elite, if they're going to come in here and dominate, Texas, Georgia, they could be the two superpowers now that Alabama's lost Nick Saban.
Yeah, Texas and Georgia. Obviously, that's one that both teams have kind of marked as pivotal matchups too. Like, you want to identify as being here and being, accountant present and SEC championship contenders. They've got the Georgia Bulldogs. They're even overlooking Ole Miss or Oklahoma. So,
right.
I the only problem with that one, Mike, is I don't see them playing on an annual basis, and I don't know if that's official out. But
what about they could have the SEC champion again? If Texas is elite. They're going to be playing Georgia in the championship more often than not.
Just crown
I'm not even doing it. I'm just saying.
I think, you look at Alabama and Georgia, and it became a rivalry because they kept meeting there. So, yeah, I definitely could see something like that happen. I just think that the SEC championship is going to be harder to visit, because the way this league's structured. But I don't know, man. I'm looking forward to Texas and Arkansas firing back up. I'm looking for, one that keeps coming up, brother, and one we're probably not even considering right now just because of the current state. But Oklahoma and Florida could be a very, very interesting matchup. That's the one that I keep hearing could potentially be an annual matchup that right now, 2024, we're not thinking of. But 10 years from now, maybe Florida's back on top. Could you imagine those two guys going at it?
Yeah, I mean, there is a history there too. They've played in national championships. They played in bowl games. So yeah, that's one I didn't think of. But how about this one, Shane? Because every Oklahoma fan that I hear from, I didn't realize this was a thing, but one that could develop into a rivalry, and I think the SEC is going to try to make it one. Oklahoma, LSU.
Yeah,
they're playing on rivalry weekend now. They've played in national championships. They've played in big bowl games. Oklahoma people hate LSU. And again, I had no idea that was a thing, but there's history there. the Joe Burrow year 2019. They smoked the hell out of Oklahoma. So I look for Oklahoma LSU to potentially build into one.
Yeah, Texas LSU was a fun one to watch a couple years ago. So, yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. I mean, I think the obvious one from where I'm at is the battle of the real UTs. You know,
yeah, that's on my list too.
Tennessee and Texas. That's the one that I believe it or not have heard more about, and maybe that's just because of the small circle I'm in.
Right, and then the last one on my list here, Shane. I think you may have mentioned this: Oklahoma, Arkansas. Because that's a very close proximity. I think that'll be the closest SEC venue for Arkansas of anyone. So they're not scheduled to play, unfortunately, this year, or for that matter, the next year. But that we need to get that game going, I feel like.
Well, I'm sure we will. And again, you look at these teams. We're so focused on a 3-4 year bubble. You know, we don't think about years past. Arkansas's down right now, but they've been up, and when they're up, nobody wants to play them. You know, so and maybe something like that happens. You just start catching these guys at the right time.
Hey, how about this one? Appreciate your cousin
thanks,
DJ. Howdy, cousins. Love the show. I'm trying to temper my optimism, but is it crazy to think that this year's offense for Ole Miss could be the most explosive offense in the SEC? I'll go a step further. I think it could be the most explosive offense in the country, Shane. So this is not the time to be tempering optimism here. We are 2 weeks from an actual SEC game being played. I would tell everybody we're going undefeated. We're going to whoop everybody's ass. Yeah. We're going to the college football playoff. But I legitimately think, and the schedule. I try not to schedule in the schedule, Shane, when I'm trying to hype up these teams.
Yeah.
Because I don't care if Ole Miss is playing this schedule or Florida's schedule. It doesn't really change what Ole Miss is, but it does change, obviously, the difficulty of the path. Mm-hmm. And the path for Ole Miss is there. You really got to we've said this over and over and over, but LSU, Oklahoma, Georgia.
Yeah.
Win one. Just win one, and you're in the playoff. And I think, you could win them all. You probably won't win them all, but I think you could. I mean, I think your team's that good.
Yeah. Mike, I don't know what you're waiting on. This is the year. You know what I'm saying? You're beating your chest and you're telling everybody that this is the year that our boys are going to go to an SEC championship. We're going to get a bye. We're going to have a squad that could potentially bring home a national championship trophy. This is the season. There isn't next year. This is what we've been preaching all offseason. The chips are in the table. This is the last dance. So I'd be booking rooms, man. I mean, you can always cancel them. Shit happens. But if it, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead and get them reservations in now, because you're going to be happy if you're going down Atlanta to watch them to play.
Yeah. All right. How about this one, Shane, from our buddy Kyle Lovinggood, big Aggie down there. Love this question, Kyle. What team are you most worried about betraying your projections? Yeah, so basically be disappointing. And which team do you think could be better than you kind of are anticipating? Do you have one that stands out?
I'll let you go first on this one.
So better for me. Mm-hmm. And it's really just because I've been down on them and everybody else is high. I have to say Texas. That's number one, because Texas could be. I mean, I'm like the only one out here saying I don't know how good they're going to be. And then the other one is LSU, which you've given me such a hard time about. I think LSU could be average, but again, given their schedule, damn, they could. I mean, it's not crazy to sit here and say they run the table. I certainly don't think they will.
Yeah,
but who are they going to be underdogs against? You know, maybe Ole Miss, maybe Alabama. Those are both at home. Maybe Oklahoma. Again, that's also at home. They're going to be favored in every road game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that LSU and Texas, I'm a little worried that I'm too down on them.
Too down on, and Kyle probably appreciate this, them Aggies. You know, because I've been so high on them for a long, long time. And I told you, I'm out. And not so much that I don't think that I can't simply buy into the hype. It's just I have. The last few years, I've been burnt. I've lost too much money. You know, there's a lot of times I didn't go to Cracker Barrel because I couldn't afford it, because I put it on these boys down here, Jimbo's boys, and so I need them to. So there's a part of me that sees a scenario. I think opening up week 1 and beating Notre Dame, and then all of a sudden we're like, back on it. And then all of a sudden, Florida doesn't seem so daunting. Arkansas is a win. Mizzou's now a tough football game, and you got them at home. So I feel like there's a real shot that I may be wrong with A&M, even though I'm not. Now, the other way, one team maybe I'm down on that I think could exceed expectations. I'm normally not wrong, so this one was a tougher one, Mike. Wait, didn't I just did that one?
Yeah,
Texas A&M.
No,
Yeah,
so
thank God.
So do it the other way. Do it, where
Who I'm high on.
a team could maybe not be as good as you think they will be.
Man, and I hate to say it because I love them chips behind you, Mike. It's them Mizzou Tigers, brother. It's one. I'm hook, line, and sinker, and I still that's what you got to understand, boys and girls. That I still feel like Mizzou's got the squad, they've got the schedule, the opportunity is just right. But all it takes is one little slip up, and it may be an A&M. It may be an Auburn that you just thought you were going to win. I feel about last year, that Kansas State was so close, to Florida. There's some of these that just kind of snuck up, and all it takes is one to knock you out of the chance of competing for a college football playoff spot. So that's the one that I'm worried about. I didn't like the injury we heard yesterday. That one really hurt. I feel like there's a part of me that what if I'm not giving enough respect for the defense they had last year?
Hey, how about this? What a comment here. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, Cousin Frank. He says, no wonder Shane hates Jimbo. He kept him from Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, buddy. Them were fighting words, man. Golly.
I mean, Cracker Barrel's got to step up at some point. We get 20 references a show here.
We they got those $5 take-home meals too. So, that's what I do a few of those to kind of make up for it.
Now, hey, I wrote down Missouri too, Shane, because I believe everything you just said, but I wrote down a secondary one just in case.
Yeah.
Because maybe people are right. Maybe they're right, Shane. Alabama. I mean, I think Alabama's going to be good.
Yeah.
So again, this is the question: who could falter? Who could disappoint? I mean, I wouldn't say a lock, but I'm as close to a lock as it could be that Alabama with Caleb DeBoer will make the college football playoff.
Yeah.
But you tell me, Shane, that they get their ass whooped by Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
They lose to Tennessee. Mizzou's red hot, beats them. All of a sudden, we may be out of the playoff already. And that's before I had LSU, before I had Oklahoma. Who knows? Auburn nearly beat you last year. So could a scenario happen where Bama goes 8-4, something like that? I mean, I don't think that's totally unrealistic either.
Wouldn't you like it though? Just let them suck for a minute, Just they've been so good for so long. I've said this before. I just feel like maybe a little humble season is not a bad idea for them Tide fans.
Right. And again, I'm saying that's a team I'm high on. So
yeah,
I'm just saying could go the other way. You just never know.
Yeah, so no respect for Auburn still. Mm-mm. I didn't mention the Florida Gators. I guess we're just completely out on those.
How about this one from Cousin Anthony? A little bit of a long one here, but he's basically his point is Jane Daniels won the Heisman. I mean, he's not calling him out by any means, but basically it says because he had to be so elite last year.
Yeah,
he had to score so many times because the defense was so awful that he knew if he didn't score, and heck, he scored so many times they still lost 3 games, but that helped him.
Mm-hmm.
Could you see a scenario where maybe Carson Beck is the best player in the country, but because Georgia's so good, he's not going to put up those video game numbers? And his question is Tennessee, Ole Miss, Missouri, a player from maybe like a Nico, maybe a Jackson Dart, maybe a Brady Cook or Luther Burden has to score so much. Could it help those guys win the Heisman this season? What's your thoughts on that?
So are you asking, do you feel like Beck doesn't get it and somebody else emerges, like who I think would do that? Or
right, because, I mean, again, I realize Georgia's got a very difficult schedule. People are like just figuring that out now, what we've been talking about for 6 months in a row. But there are, I mean, best, does Carson Beck even play the second half of Tennessee Tech? Probably not.
Right.
Maybe even Kentucky, maybe Mississippi State, maybe UMass, Georgia. You know what I mean? Like he's going to miss a lot of time because they're up by. But basically, the point is, do they need Carson Beck to be spectacular? And that could hurt him in the Heisman race, as opposed to someone like Jackson Dart, let's say, that is when they're playing LSU, it's the first team to 50 wins. Yeah. Oklahoma, the first team to 50. You know what I mean? On and on and on. Could a Jaden Daniels emerge to put up video game numbers because their defense can't help?
I think that's where we're at, and I don't think it's right, but I feel like people just need to be wowed into a Heisman vote these days. You know, maybe it's one or two game that, like, you remember Jaden, what was it, the Florida game? He just took it to a next level, and then that kind of, I'm not saying that won him the Heisman, but when you're watching the Heisman replays, half of it was Gator replays. You know what I'm saying? So there is those moments, and I just feel like sometimes I hate the whole voting thing for the Heisman. I think it's stupid. I think they need to redo this. Maybe even just open it up to the public to let them vote, because I don't find it. I find it stupid when some of these votes come in early November and we've not even had a championship game or a playoff game. I feel like, how do you even know if that dude's a Heisman candidate if he's not won anything yet? So I'm kind of in the boat. I feel like, though, the tricky part of that question is, you know, Georgia has marked a lot of boxes. Come play here, you go to the NFL. Come here, you know, we'll get you a ton of money. Okay, NIL, we'll find it. Come here, we'll win championships. But one thing they can't say is come here and win a Heisman. You can win some awards. You can get a lot of cool trophies. But one thing they've not done since 1982 is win a Heisman. And they've got a quarterback that can do it this year. So I think maybe we're looking at that question a little bit different. Do we see a different Georgia Bulldog team, maybe a little bit more aggressive on that offensive side, so that he can? Now, I'm not saying Kirby's going to go out here and pad numbers.
That's Kirby's here.
Now, I get it, but again, it's now's the team to do that. And you felt like last year, because maybe some of that vanilla style offense, not that they were vanilla, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was games they really could have throttled it and beat a team by multiple scores. They didn't. And then you get to the Alabama game and you get embarrassed. And then now, where's your signature of wins? Where's the, we can't leave this team out type victories? And I feel like that's one of the things people got to see. They got to see 40-point blowout sometimes.
Yep. Again, Ray, throw in a donation. You want a question answered on this mailbag show. Until then, on with the pre-questions here, Shane. Tim Arnold, I love his name. He goes by One Oklahoma SEC on Twitter. How much would the preseason narrative on the Sooners be different if Dylan Gabriel had stayed and competed with Jackson Arnold for that starting quarterback job? And I think that's an interesting question, Shane. Could it change with an established quarterback? But here's the reality. If Dylan Gabriel, who's now at Oklahoma, Oregon, obviously Oklahoma last year, and this blew me away when I looked it up with Steven the other day, Shane, but he's got the best odds to win the Heisman Trophy currently for some damn reason. Again, he's a fine player, but is Oregon going to win the Heisman? I don't think so. But point I'm trying to make here, had Dylan Gabriel come back, Shane, I think Jackson Arnold would have hit the portal. I mean, and that's just the era that we live in, and I've heard that. Yeah. Where you got a 5-star, you know, let's say Joe Milton. I know he was out of eligibility, but had Joe Milton come back, Nico may have hit the portal. These guys
hit the portal.
These guys are not going to sit around for year after year after year when they can go play anywhere. So that's a fine question, but it's just unrealistic to have asked Dylan Gabriel and Jackson Arnold to both be on the same team for 2 years in a row.
Right. And you know, crazy part is, as just an SEC guy that probably didn't follow a lot of Oklahoma, they feel like they upgraded the quarterback position. Like Jackson got the job because he's a better quarterback. I think that was kind of the impression we all had when Oklahoma came into the conference. I don't know about you, but that's kind of the way I felt about the situation.
Well, perhaps. I don't know
if I'd go with it.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I think here's the reality, Shane. At most, you get Dylan Gabriel this year.
Yeah.
Jackson Arnold, you got him this year. You got them next year, and maybe even the year after. So who's trading 3 for 1? You know what I mean? I don't think anyone's making that trade, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I still think we got a better quarterback. So have fun in Oregon, freezing your ass off up there, wearing cool Nike stuff.
All right, how about this one from Heath Allreed? Hey, it's Heath, huge fan of the pod. I don't have Twitter, but he emailed me this. There's no tiebreaker for the SEC yet. That still, I don't know what the hell they're waiting on. But what do you guys think will be the fairest way to do a tiebreaker? And he says, P.S. Shane, I have a bet for you when the Vols come down to Athens, and it does not include you walking 24 miles. So there's no follow-up, so maybe he'll get back to us on that. But the tiebreaker, how will that be determined? I think it goes certainly conference record. Right. How your record will be in the conference. The non-conference is irrelevant. Head-to-head record, obviously. That's always how you do it. And then it goes winning percentage against common opponents, winning percentage against all conference opponents. So it'll be that's why I don't understand why they can't just say this.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty boilerplate stuff. But I wanted to throw in this little caveat, Shane. I feel like, and let me know if you agree or disagree, I feel like home losses should hurt you more somehow than an away loss. And here's what I mean. Like, let's just throw up Texas schedule. Texas hosts Georgia.
Yeah.
Let's say Texas and Georgia. Let's say Georgia beats Texas in Texas.
Yeah.
But let's say Mizzou, they lose at Alabama, and that's their only loss. And in this scenario, let's say Georgia wins out, so Georgia's in. So Mizzou's got 1 loss, Texas got 1 loss. But Texas lost at home, and Mizzou lost on the road. I think you put the team in that lost on the road, if that makes sense. Would you agree with that or no?
Well, I see where you're coming from.
I just think home losses should penalize you more.
Yeah, I don't know if there's some sort of system in place, man. I'm glad they didn't put me in charge of this thing. Or we do like the XFL. We'll just throw the football and see who covers it first kind of deal.
See, here's the fear, Shane, and this is a valid fear. People are afraid that they're going to create the rules as they go so that Alabama, Georgia, and Texas can get in. And to hell with Missouri or Ole Miss or Tennessee. Again, I don't know if that's real. I don't think it is, but this is what you...
But it can be perceived that way.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the problem.
No, I think clearly before kickoff, or before the first one, there should be black and white the requirements to make an SEC championship game. I'm right there with you. And whether it be, like you said, maybe a stiffer penalty for losing home games or something, I don't know if that's the case. I truly think that it'll come down to points for, points against kind of situation or something crazy like that. There'll be some sort of statistic or number that they could point at where it's not just,
But again, we need to know that now, Shane, so that you can score. If it's points, then by God, we got to score 60 a game. You know what I mean? Like we can't just announce that in November. I don't know what the hell they're doing.
Let me text Sankey real quick. Come on. What the F are you doing?
I just think that's nonsense.
And tell us what we're supposed to do. That's all. I get it. I totally get it. And maybe there is one out there and we just don't know it yet. Maybe I didn't Google it before I jumped on the pod.
Oh no, this is a real thing. This has not been announced. And maybe they're, like you said, maybe they're waiting until kickoff. But why? I don't.
But why? Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
We got some stuff, some housekeeping notes coming up. You saw Texas A&M next Thursday. I don't know if you're going to mention that, but they're getting together to talk about something. People are afraid it's going to be a neutral site game, but I feel like there's still some kind of housekeeping notes that we're going to take care of before kickoff.
I like this one from Green Wave. A tiebreaker will be whatever Saban says it should be. Maybe that's why they got him, you know?
Oh, yeah. That may be it. That may be it.
And I get it. I mean, who is it? Yeah, cousin Anthony says just win, baby. But I get it. But the schedules are not even. So I don't know. Again, we're gonna have a scenario like that. Mizzou's one loss, Texas one loss. They didn't play each other. Who goes? I don't know. We need to know that. I feel like. All right, how about this one, Shane? And this may take you a minute to come up with because this is a tough one off
a challenge.
Right off the top rope here from Rocky Topics. Cool name. What will be the biggest head-to-head SEC upset? So I think what he's saying is conference games only. Pick the biggest upset you could see happen, and I have one already. I'm just kind of curious if you got one.
You go.
Okay. You know how I love them Razorbacks, Shade. Come on. I'm going. Arkansas is knocking off them Ole Miss Rebels November 2nd. And here's a big reason why, Shane. Ole Miss play at LSU, come back home, Oklahoma. Then you get that Arkansas, and then the following week's Georgia. I mean, this is a damn murderer's row. That's the one game you feel like confident you can beat. You might be looking ahead. You have trouble in Fayetteville. Arkansas may need that one for bowl eligibility. They could have just beaten Mississippi State, getting some momentum. Mm-hmm. Give me Ole Miss at Arkansas. I think that could. And again, I'm not saying I think Ole Miss making the college football playoff.
Yeah,
and they could still get there if they lose to Arkansas. But these type of games can happen. You know, you go 10-2, you lose to Arkansas and Georgia, you're a lock for the college football playoff.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you, and I'm going a little bit different, you know, and you're not going to like it, Mike, so you may want to mute this, but pull up Auburn's schedule.
Oh, no, we just got it. Let's see.
One of the things that I love about Hugh Freeze is he does get up for the big games, Mike. He does get up, and you're looking at this team potentially starting out 4-0, maybe even 5-0. Watch out. Here comes Auburn. I think the Georgia game is too much of an easy option here. But and I just told you, man, the potential upset is October 19th. You've got a bye week right before it. You're going on the road. I don't feel like Mizzou feels like they should worry. Because I've asked. I follow a lot of Mizzou, and I hear about the Oklahomas. I hear about the Alabamas. You know what I don't hear a lot of is the Auburn. And you got to look at this football team as a team that sees you as their potential ticket to success. And that's what Hugh Freeze is looking for this year, to prove to the fans that, brother, we're building something special down here. So October 19th, very tricky game. What has Mizzou got leading up to this one? Can you pull theirs up real quick? I feel like they've got a...
I'm just reading these comments, Shane. You have turned on Mizzou. The fans are mad as hell. Missouri's going to be tired from playing UMass.
On the road.
They ain't getting up for Auburn. Come on.
Up in masses. Okay. Maybe looking forward to the Alabama game. So, again, not saying it's going to happen. I never said that this would happen, but this is potentially the trap game I'm looking for. I love the comments. Yeah. Hey, you know what this is, Mizzou? This is a wake-up call. All right? This is something that needs to be put in that damn locker room, because them boys feel like their shit don't stink. They need to realize that you're not used to being the team with the bullseye on your back. You are now. You are the victor. You are the Georgias. You are the Alabamas now. You are the top 10 team that people have penciled in as a team that you hope that you can win against. So you cannot come in half-cocked, brother. You got to come locked and loaded. And I feel like sometimes, and I know Coach says it, he says all the right things. You know, it's about the standards inside, blah, blah, blah. I'm not eating the rat poison, whatever. But this team kind of did that a few times last year, and it almost bit them in the ass. They can't afford to do it this season, because this is a team that has an opportunity to do something that's never been done there.
Yeah. Maybe my favorite comment, Shade, what people were picking their upset games.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt over Texas. They own Texas.
Ooh, that's true. They got the record.
All right, how about this one, Shade, from Thor Kane? What a name there. If Brock Vandagriff is the man, that's how he puts it. How many games do they win? How many games will they win? if he isn't the man.
Oh, if he is the man, they got 8 games, Mike.
Is that it, huh?
Yeah. If he is the man,
I'm going 9 if he's the man.
Maybe. I'm trying to look here. So let's see. 1, 2.
Georgia's out.
Yeah.
All the rest are in play. If Brock Vandegrift's the man, Ole Miss, their defense may struggle again.
See, I'm not. I think Texas. I think he's out on
Right.
the road.
But even still, so Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, that's 9-3.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ole Miss, a top 5 team. We're just going to ignore that it's on and it's away.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I told
Ole
you.
Miss got some home field advantage I don't know about, Shane.
I told you this is the game to worry about, because if you look at Ole Miss's schedule, they've got cupcake the first 4 weeks, then they get hit with Kentucky. So maybe that's the one I should have led with, the potential upset. But Ole Miss, Tennessee, Georgia, and Texas. You know, those are 4 very, very tough opponents, and it may take more than just a quarterback to get over that hump. And that's 8 wins, man. I think if Brock gets 8 wins on a good season, I feel like that's a win for Kentucky.
Cousin John says, Cousin Shane, pregame Mizzou speech right there.
Clip it, boys. Clip it. You're welcome.
On the other side, I was just hyping him up. 9 games. If he's not the man, 6 at best. You know what I mean? Because if he's not, hell, your running back's out too. I guess give me South Carolina as a loss.
Yeah.
Georgia loss. Ole Miss a loss. We're already at 3. Can we find 3 others? Certainly. Florida, maybe. Tennessee, Texas, Louisville. I mean, hell, maybe even 5. But I don't think they'll sink that. But give me 6 if he's not the man.
Yeah, you're going bowling regardless. But I just feel like, you know, to get a better bowl, we need Brock to step up. And maybe, who knows, maybe 9. Maybe they do sneak up and take one of those 4 teams we mentioned.
Hey, how about this one? We got a donation here from Sav. Appreciate you, Sav. But I don't think you're going to like this one, Shane. What would MIZ have to do for Shane to get a butt tattoo of Coach Drink riding the Tiger? 12-0, championship win. Love the show. It'd probably take more than a $5 donation to get him there.
Possibly his signing bonus, you know. So, no. I'm not going to put that tattoo guy through that. He may quit halfway through and say, you know what? It ain't worth it.
Hey, how about this one? I think you'll like this one, Shane. Speaking of Mizzou, from Ryan Martin. Really good question. I think he DM'd me this one. Well, he's just talking about the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Is Missouri a better job than Florida Gators right now? What's your thoughts on that? Just the next 3 years, Missouri a better job than Florida?
Next 3 years. I mean, I don't know, man. What do you think? I'm going to let you, because I'm a little torn on this one. I think there's no reason the Florida like that. I'll say this, Mike. I still feel like the Florida Gators is a top shelf job.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like, and not that Mizzou's not, but I feel like it could be easier to recruit. I feel like it could be easier to build. And the expectations are so damn low right now. We talked about the standards being low. You know, if you come in and you take that job and you win 8 games, 9 games by year 2, I think this fan base is not having they may have a parade, Mike. You know what I'm saying? I feel like they just want to be relevant again. So if I'm looking for a job, I think Drink has kind of made the bar a little too high for me. I'm going to take the Florida Gator job.
God, you just hate Mizzou now,
I
Shane.
hate Mizzou,
Where does this all coming from?
They got the damn stadium renovations. You know what
I
I'm
know
saying?
it.
10 wins is a standard now. You know, do you want to walk into that buzzsaw after Drink leaves? Hell no. Give me Billy Napier 4 wins and getting fired after the Mississippi State game, you know?
Here's the perfect way to look at it, Shane. And you kind of said it, but Mizzou right now,
Yeah.
you're living life. You just get the job done. You're off to the college football playoff. What's the job right now in Gainesville? God, if we could just get to 6-6, we got the best damn coach. We got locked in. That's garbage. This is one of the best, probably 10 to 15 programs in college football in the last 25, 30 years. and probably even higher than that, probably top 10 over the last 20, 30 years. You know what I mean? So, yeah, again, this is no shade at Missouri, but the better job is Florida by a country mile. Just because the guy currently there doesn't know how to coach doesn't make it a bad job. Now, expectations, again, the expectations are low right now. Yeah. They won't be like that much longer. You know what I mean? And that's why if Billy Napier does get fired, it's because of the expectations. Because 6-6 ain't cutting it, whereas 6-6 at Missouri, again, that's not the standard typically, but they'll accept that. Now they sure as hell won't accept that this year, and they probably wouldn't have accepted it last year because they basically had 2-3 seasons of it. But they're generally not going to run many coaches off at that. You know what I mean? Whereas right now Missouri, they're hoping for 10, 11 wins.
Yeah,
that's what you're supposed to get every year at Florida. So I think Florida, given its location, given its history, and the fact that you could step in, and if you can get them to 8 to 9 wins, those people will love you right now.
Well, phrase it this way, Mike. Let's say that job was open in the offseason and Lane Kiffin took it. Would you still say 3 years from now that Florida would be a worse job than Mizzou with Eli Drinkwitz?
You're saying Kiffin at Florida?
Kiffin took the Florida job. I mean, again,
realistically,
yeah,
and we've been there's no one higher than Mizzou than us.
Yeah,
if Kiffin is the coach at Florida, Florida's a better team in next season. Not in a week.
Yeah,
2025. Florida's better than Missouri in 2025.
I don't know about 1 year. I think
Luther's gone. Brady's gone.
Well,
Weiss is gone. You know, a lot of these guys are gone.
Yeah,
they're all in on this year. I think Florida would be, because Kiffin is that good of a coach.
Yeah,
and he knows the portal. He'd add everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like things would happen overnight. But I don't think they can get him because Ole Miss is gonna make a big run here. So Kiffin ain't leaving.
No,
he's not gonna leave in the middle of the playoffs.
No, I was just throwing it out there. Just curious.
All right, how about this one, Shane? This is a good one. Joseph Moreno, big Texas guy.
Yeah.
Where does Texas, Oklahoma rank, and Texas A&M among the SEC's best rivalries?
Get ready. They ain't ready. The SEC ain't ready. You talk about rivalries in this league right now. They're talking about the Iron Bowl. They're talking about Florida, Georgia, maybe even Georgia and Auburn. They're talking about I'd put Texas, Oklahoma from an SEC homer standpoint. I would say probably at that 2 spot. I think it's right behind the Iron Bowl, but potentially 3. I think people look at some of these old rivalries, the oldest rivalry, as another one that maybe hasn't been good here in the last couple of years, but there's been some epic showdowns.
And credit, I don't want people to think I'm stealing from them here, but our buddy Cole Kublik, he puts the Egg Bowl right up there.
I love the Egg Bowl
with Texas, Oklahoma. I don't think he's saying it's better, but in terms of pure hatred and rivalry, maybe not right there, right this moment, but that has been there in years. You know what I mean? That is I think the most underrated rivalry in the entire sport. I really do think. I wouldn't say it's better than Texas, Oklahoma, but it's damn up there. I think if Florida could be relevant, Florida, Georgia could be right there. But again, we're doing a lot of if that. I think you nailed it. I think give me Oklahoma, Texas, number 2, but it is behind the Iron Bowl. I do think.
Yeah, and again, we may be wrong, but that's what I've been told. You know, I've not got to experience this rivalry. I've not got to experience the state fair and all that goes, like just the whole setup. So maybe I look back and I say, what the hell was I thinking? But, you know, when I think of rivalries, I think of just close games. Doesn't matter who they are. Doesn't matter what's on the roster. It's going to come down to – and that's what we get with Auburn, Alabama. Last year was a prime example. That's what you get with the Egg Bowl. One thing I like about the Egg Bowl is if you look, half the roster's from Mississippi. So these kids were either recruited to Team A or Team B, and if they didn't go, half their family disowned them. You know, it's you've seen it. There's been some I think I saw a video floating around on Twitter about a guy that signed for Mississippi State. You know, that was it's crazy how big that rivalry is, but it may be a little bit more isolated to that state in particular. But yeah, I think there's some great rivalries, and I think that 5-10 years from now, maybe we give it the respect it deserves, and I could see maybe an opportunity it does bump the Iron Bowl. But right now, I've got Iron Bowl 1. I got that game second.
And a lot of rivalries have to do with, or at least when we're ranking them, has to do, for me personally, I don't know about you, Shane, but it has to do a lot with how heated it is currently.
Yeah.
Like right now, Florida LSU doesn't even seem like
I know
that great of a rivalry because LSU's won a couple in a row. But for about 3-4 years, you could make the case that was the best one in the SEC.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's always like that. So these can change in a hurry. And that leads me to this. He also asked, where would you rank Texas A&M? I put that probably around the 5th best rivalry in the conference right now.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't played in a while, obviously, but I would skyrocket it up to maybe 2 or 3 the next time A&M wins it, because I think Texas will really be pissed off.
Well, you know, it's funny. Like, they do change. Tennessee, you know, third Saturday in October, Tennessee and Alabama was always a huge game for those older folks.
Right.
But, you know, last 10, 15 years, it's just been an ass beating. So nobody likes it as much. They look at that Tennessee, Florida when there's a lot of matchups that were closer and maybe just the hatred that was with that. Yeah. So I feel like they change. Same thing with Arkansas and Mizzou. That was one that was fabricated, but then all of a sudden it became one we really enjoyed watching when they started taking each other's coaches and not acknowledging that they live one state over, and you know what I'm saying? So like rivalries, they ebb and flow, and I'm not saying that Texas and Oklahoma will ever lose their luster just because of what's around it, but I feel like that's kind of what the Iron Bowl has too, and it just doesn't matter what happens. These families divide because of this one football game.
Right. Florida, Tennessee.
Yeah,
for years was a great one, and that's someone in the comments says, you know what, Mizzou, Tennessee, certainly that's building, but because they're not playing,
yeah,
and that's another damn shame. South Carolina, Tennessee was building into something. Now they're not playing, so
yeah,
that kind of hurts when you're not
South
playing.
South Carolina, Kentucky's becoming something, you know.
Yeah,
I like these guys going after each other.
All right, how about this one, Shane, from Aggie Recruiting? Is Texas A&M the best defense in the SEC? That's a little rich for my blood, but I think they could be top 5.
Top 5
top
in the
5,
SEC.
Top
or
5
in the country?
top 5 defense in the SEC. A&M under Mike Elko.
Oh yeah. I think so. I think with coaching and just that front,
because I still think Georgia would be better. I think
Tennessee.
Maybe Tennessee. I'm thinking Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Texas. Texas, maybe not so. They lost some good players, but I mean that's the mix we're in. Tennessee, Texas A&M. I'm trying to think. I mean, there's not a lot of great defenses right now in the SEC.
No, well, I mean, I think they are a lot of good defense. I think that's
Kentucky.
the problem. Yeah, South Carolina's got a pretty good defense. You know, I think that they all kind of got their thing too. You know, they either got killer secondary or really good defensive front, that sort of thing.
Right.
I look at A&M. There's a couple of beasts up front. You know, those guys are going to create havoc. They are going to have 45 sacks between the two of them. You know, but I feel like at the end of the day, that gap is kind of narrowing down a little bit. There's not just 2 teams at the top of the league anymore. We got a lot of competitive defenses this year.
Right. How about this one, Shane? I can't believe it. No food questions. I could not hit us up with a food question before we go in the comments here. But one more. This was pretty fun from cousin Josh Bray here. With Texas battling injuries at running back, how many years of eligibility does cousin Shane have? And what kind of NIL deal would Sark need to get him? He says, I see cousin Shane as the bus. No breaks.
Yeah, that's right, man. And well, growing up, man, I was a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, Jerome Bettis. I may not like Notre Dame, but by God, I love the bus, brother. And he was my besides William Perry, he was like a little before my time, the fridge. But I think big guys need more loving. And I say this, and if you're a grade school coach, Pee Wee's coach, a high school football coach, give them boys. There's one or two that have got an athletic bone in their body that they could get you 2-3 yards. You know what I'm saying? But what you don't realize is they're going to remember that damn carry for the rest of their life. And that's one thing I hate, that my coaches never gave us a shot, man.
Remember Mike Allscott? I like to watch that. Like, we need more guys like that,
No, I loved it. I love big guys running. I don't know why we. It's simple, Mike. If you can get 3 to 4 yards a carry, the chains will keep moving, and big guys fall forward. And they did a version of this beast mode. You remember that with A.J. Johnson at Tennessee? I remember that a few years ago. They had, you see the cute little linemen going out and catching a pass, and that's fun, like we're at a circus and we want to feed them peanuts or something. But I want to see big boys downfield. I want to see big boy package where they just line up and say, hey, we got 1,000 pounds of meat coming your way.
Cousin Robert wants to know, what's the best thing on the Cracker Barrel menu?
There's not a wrong answer to that question. There ain't, and I've been mixing it up a little bit. I did country fried steak the other day. I'm preparing for that place there in Oklahoma, so I gotta get used to that country fried chicken. That Sunday chicken's good. They used to always be on Sunday. My mom's a huge fan of that fish fry, so I tried it Friday. It's always good. So there's just really not a wrong answer. And then sometimes you just feel like breakfast, and so you mix it up. You just get some breakfast.
How about Cousin Anthony wants to know, how long does Shane spend at the Chinese buffet?
True story, Mike. There was a Chinese buffet in Morristown. It's actually where my favorite Mexican place is now, El Chorrito. But I was walking into this place, and this little Asian lady comes up to me. Swear, Mike, and I'm not making this up. Oh, no. She did that. And I was like, because I thought I was like, I came too late or something like that. Literally did not let me come into the restaurant. Now, to be fair, I feel like they had some sort of business going on. That place is closed since then. I've in the back of my mind, it's not because of my size. I don't think I didn't get, not allowed into the Chinese buffet. But I always wonder, was I the only one that got shooed away that day?
Well, I think that's a perfect place to end this one, Shane. I ain't shooing you away, but another successful Mailbag podcast. Again, this is a final weekend without college football. We are so close. Any thoughts before we wrap this one up?
Hey, just a quick reminder, LSU, USC, that's the following, not Sunday, but the following Sunday, right after our show. We're going to jump on live. We're going to drink some cold beers and watch a great football game together. So I don't know how it's going to work, but we're going to play. We're going to have some fun. We're going to cut loose and just kind of put our hair down and a little peek behind the curtain. So, but other than that, brother, like you said, it's the last weekend without college football. So get your honey to-do list out and knock them out, because till January, the couch is calling their name.
Yeah, no doubt. So we appreciate each and every one of you. Again, like Shane said, Sunday night, watch along. LSU, Southern Cal, nationally televised, only game in town. That's why we're doing it, so that all eyes can be on that game and have us on in the background. Come hang out with us. But that's going to do it for this episode of the show. We appreciate you. I appreciate you, buddy. We'll catch you on the next one.
All right, see you guys. Go Vols.